That you might be the running mate to Peter Obi?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That is what the enemy outside there is saying. The implication is that if you put somebody from the Southeast, unfortunately, there are many issues in the Southeast. You see, Northern voter is the worst hit on this issue of maladministration in this country. But even under that circumstance, a Northern voter also believes that he is better with one united Nigeria. And therefore, most of the things that are happening in the South, especially in the Southeast, people are not comfortable with that.
Now, there is where I want to speak to Alhaji Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. How on earth would you then say that the insecurity in the Southeast will not make any Northerner vote for anyone from the Southeast? At the beginning, this is where a man like you turns logic upside down. In this interview, you just alluded to the fact that the northern voter is the worst hit. How come, if the northern voter is the worst hit, in the last 7 years, we have a president from the Northwest, yet the Northwest has not benefited anything from this government in terms of security? The economy of Nigeria, be it Northeast, Northwest, North Central, Southeast, Southwest, and South-South, is in rings. 8 years will pass, then you want to continue in that same trajectory. Isn't that akin to doing the same thing over again and wanting to have different results? I believe some people call that insanity. And how do you want to then continue in the same trajectory? Now, at this point, granted, there are security challenges in the Southeast. The Monday sit at home he alluded to, it's something I have spoken on this platform and I have condemned it, that I am, and many of us are not in support, because that is akin to you going to your kinsman meeting, having an argument with someone, go home, lock up your family, do not give them food on certain days, and bang your head on the wall. You're only hurting yourself. That is not the discussion of today. What I do here is to look at data and not emotions. If we look at the northern region, especially Northwest, where you came from, then I can prove to you that your allusion is totally false. Because if you look at this data that I'm about to present to you here, this is not me, this is Static Sense. On the look at insecurity in the first 4 months of 2022. Reported number of people kidnapped by zones, Northwest, Kwankwaso, this is where you come from. 837 people were kidnapped. Yet the Southeast that you accuse of having the largest number of insecurity has 70 of our citizens. Again, I make this to, it hurts me personally to talk about my fellow humans in numbers, because no single Nigerian deserves to be kidnapped, be it North, West, East, and South. However, if we want to put it together as North and South, 1,632 people have been kidnapped within the last 4 months of this year. And in the whole of the South, you have 192. That is approximately 11% in the South, and about 89% in the North. Now tell me, if we go by data, who among this region ought to produce the president? South, North or South? This is data, and this is not emotion. Let me also take you back to another data that might be interesting to you, sir, because I know that you will at the same time allude to that. Many of the northern youths are not happy about the things you said, and some of them on Twitter took out their anger on you because they believe that the things you said are very, very detached from their pains and things that bother them in northern Nigeria. Yes, because we speak to them, because they are our friends, because we are in the streets, we understand and we share each other's pain. No Nigerian is more Nigerian than another Nigerian. Again, Ghazali Sadiq said this to you, and I read out. He says, it sounds stupid to me when a northern politician says that the North plays better politics than other regions and even debates the Southeast by claiming they are at bottom level when it comes to politics. What has that politics got, what has the politics you know how to play done for northern Nigeria? Again, as I said at the beginning, what have you done with the politics you've been playing time and time and time over and over again? These are northern youths. If it might interest you that if I go through his comments, you will see that so many northern youths are angry with you. Nigeria has the worst human development index and northern Nigeria has the worst insecurity crisis. Yet you claim you play better politics. It might also interest you that when you come to human development interest, the state of Anambra, where Peter Obi come from, is at the top. I ask you, where is your state in Kano? And where is your state in that ranking? Or rather, where is your region in that ranking? Let's not make this about North and South. Can we come back and stay within the realm and plank of real politics? Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, Senator, I say to you, I refer and I say that I am personally...
And as long as you have somebody from there in any party, it will be very difficult for the northern voters to vote.
Again, this I consider an insult to the northern voter, to the teeming youth who have come together and say, we want a change of narrative. And at this point, it tells me one thing and it tells me one thing only. That my impression is that former Minister of Defense is gunning for an ethnic-inspired presidency rather than a new Nigerian patriot and advocate, which the Peter Obi camp is hinged on. Every youth across Nigeria, north, south, west, east, are yearning that enough is enough. We have seen how dollar has gone from 158 to 614 within the last 6-7 years. Is that what you want to continue with? Where again, if we want to stay on the realm of ethnicity that you introduced, I say, where is then equity? Imagine, for once, not many of us will know the gravity of what Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso said. Imagine for 1 second, this interview was granted by Peter Obi, and Peter Obi opened his mouth to say that the Southeast or the Southern voter will not vote anybody from the North. I tell you, by now, riot might have started somewhere. By now, his head will be on the altar for someone to yank it off his body. By now, this conversation will no longer be the same. But here we are in Nigeria. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso has said something like this. And many of us pretend that we didn't listen and that we didn't understand what he said. Here is a man who is pushing to be the president of this nation, sitting down here telling you that it is already foreclosed, that certain regions will not vote you because what? That because there is crisis. Yet the same crisis, the data suggests that you have more crisis at home, even when you control the president. Then you tell me either the man is not saying the truth or something is not adding up. People, I want you all to be the judge. Let me basically bring him back again for the last lap of this conversation.
And that's the situation now. And those workers who are against, in the actual sense, working against LP, Southeast, and so on, what they believe is if you put anybody under this arrangement from that side of the country, the North voters will not vote.
Again, what I consider an insult to the people and the young, vibrant, intelligent, resourceful people from the northern part of this country. An insult, and they are not taking it.
And who will they vote? Their own candidate in the Southeast? I mean, in the North.
So can you or would you be a running mate to Peter Obi?
That's what I'm saying.
Would you like to be as a person, personally?
Ordinarily, you see, I'm jobless now. I'm not doing any job.
So
to become a vice president,
you can be a vice president.
But what I'm telling you is that if anybody from the South is now under this circumstance, becomes the presidential candidate of our party or any other party, the implication is that because of the activities and many other issues that are real on the ground, northern voters will certainly go for their northern candidate in another party.
So the thinking
is that it's not whether I like it or I don't like it. The fact remains that
the numbers,
everybody will lose. The number, he will lose, I will lose.
So if Peter Obi is coming to join you, it will be your running mate.
That's as long as you want to vote from the north, that's the situation, fortunately.
You see, at this point, I understand how angry many of you, southern youth will be. At this point, I will say, shield your sword. There is no need to insult. There is no need to get angry. But I think, this type of narrative is what spurs you into action. If you're still sitting on the fence after watching this, I say to you, if we are indeed one nation, then it is time for you to go get your PVC. Here is Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, a man who is gunning for the highest office in this country, telling you point blank to your face that unless you become a VP to him, irrespective of the fact that by next year, May 29th, the Northwest would have had 8 years of presidency. The man speaking to you is also from the Northwest. Again, for once, just think about it. Assuming Buhari is Mr. Peter Obi, after 8 years, imagine how silly and idiotic and how outrageous it will sound if Mazi sit down here to tell you, wow, after Peter Obi, let us vote for Ekweremadu, or let us vote for someone else from the Southeast. That will be an outrage. Then I ask, if that is an outrage, knowing that if Southeast has produced a president after 8 years, that Southeast should not produce another president, because Southeast is not the only region in Nigeria. Then if you are outraged by that thinking alone, then I would then ask you, why then are you not outraged in this thinking? Again, it is left for you and I to make this decision. The things oozing out of his mouth is indeed reprehensible, honestly, because this is not the right way to go. This is not the right thing to do. If you are projecting yourself as a national leader, as a leader in Nigeria, then I ask again, where is equity? Where is equity? Because what Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso here is telling us is that as a result of those, our brothers and sisters in the Southeast who are agitating for equity and fairness, therefore, the Southeast must never and should never be considered for presidency. Then I ask, have we forgotten in 2013, 2014, that even Boko Haram once appointed the current President Muhammad Buhari as their spokesperson? Yet, in 2015, Nigerians voted for President Muhammad Buhari, who then accused the Northwest that Boko Haram is their making. And therefore, because if anything, insecurity that is in there, therefore they should not get it. Yes, we know Boko Haram started from the Northeast. But even the Northwest has overtaken. Even the president himself, the president, Muhammad Buhari, said it by his own self, saying that these are a people, they speak the same language, they have the same culture, yet they inflict unimaginable pains and commit unimaginable crimes against themselves, quote unquote, President Muhammad Buhari. Here, you have a people, of course, do not support the violence, do not support any form of crime. But if data is to go by, Mr. Rabiu Kwankwaso or Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso, if data is to go by, then your argument doesn't hold water.